Sir, very happy morning to all. My dear lovable students, today onwards we are going to start a new chapter called as payment of tax. Payment of tax. Shall we start the proceedings? Mainly, payment of tax is section 49. This is the package section 49, section 49A, section 49B. These are the three sections which is talking about payment of tax. 49, 49A and 49B. Tell me what are the section? 49, 49A, 49B. Sir, section 49 is having this many subsection. 49 subsection 1, electronic cash ledger. Electronic. 49 subsection 2, electronic credit ledger. Electronic. 49 subsection 7, electronic liability ledger. Electronic. So basically GST, sir, there are three ledgers are there. So ledgers classified into three category. Number 1, electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger and electronic liability ledger. What are the three ledger? Tell me. Electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger and electronic liability ledger. Sir, what these ledgers are, what this, sir, payment of tax chapter is all about. Once you take registration, either under section 22 or under section 24, the government will give us GSTIN, GST identification number. That means our account will be opened in the government books. Our account will be opened in the, how we are having cash book and passbook. Our bank account will be reflected in the passbook. The same way, our account will be reflected in the government's portal. GST common portal. It contains three ledger. One is electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger and electronic liability ledger. What are the three ledger? Electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, electronic liability ledger. So, the balance will be available in the electronic cash ledger. Sir, balance will be available in the electronic credit ledger. These two are our asset and these two are government's liability. These two are our asset and these two are, sometimes we may deposit our money with the government. That money will go and sit in the electronic cash ledger. Electronic cash ledger. When we purchase the goods or services or both, we will be paying GST. Right? That GST amount will go and sit in the electronic credit ledger. Electronic. So by using debit card, credit card, online banking or cash deposit, we will be depositing money with the government. That will go and sit in the electronic cash ledger. When we purchase, we will be paying GST. That GST is an asset that will go and sit in the electronic credit ledger. Electronic. So balance will be available in the electronic cash ledger and electronic credit ledger. With the balance available, what we have to do is what 49 subsection 3. Utilization of amount in the electronic what ledger. If the balance is available in the electronic cash ledger, for what and all purpose it can be used. For what and all purpose it can be used is explained in 49 subsection 3. That means 49 subsection 1 should be read with 49 subsection 3. Comfortable? Sir, now when I am purchasing goods or services or both, I will be paying GST. It's an asset to me. That's what we have understood. That we are going to take it as ITC. That amount will come and sit in the electronic credit ledger. Electronic. Sir, for what purpose we can use that, sir, balance available in the electronic credit ledger? That means, can I pay penalty by using the balance available in the electronic credit ledger? Can I pay interest by utilizing the amount available in the electronic credit ledger? Or can I pay only tax? Can I pay only by utilizing the amount available in the electronic That's what utilization of amount available in the electronic what ledger. So 49 subsection 2 should be read with 49 subsection 4. That too, my purchases may be intrastate purchases or interstate purchases. If my purchases are interstate purchases, I would have paid IGST. So my credit available is what? IGST. If the purchase is an intrastate purchases, so the supplier would have collected CGST and SGST. That means I would have paid CGST and SGST or UTGST as the. So my credit available, the balance available in the electronic credit ledger may be IGST or CGST or SGST or UTGST as the case may be. One credit, for example, IGST credit can be utilized for what and all is what explained in 49 subsection 5. Manner of utilization of ITC in the electronic what ledger? Credit ledger. So we are having three ledgers mainly, my dear lovable students. Number one, electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and electronic liability ledger. These three ledgers are in the government's books. Whose books? Government's books, not our books. We will be maintaining tally. We are having software, tally software, SAP software, or we'll be using Soho books. Some XYZ software will be using to maintain the accounts. But our ledger will be there with the government. So government is keeping three ledger. For us, government is keeping three ledger basically. One is electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and electronic liability ledger. Right, sir? Yes, sir. So whatever amount we are depositing through cash, debit card, credit card, and will go and sit in the electronic cash ledger. At the time of purchases, we will be paying GST. That may be either IGST or CGST, SGST or UTGST as that amount will go and sit in the electronic credit ledger. Sir, the main question is if the balance available in the electronic credit ledger or electronic cash ledger for what and all purpose it can be utilized is what explained by 49 subsection 2 and 49 subsection 3. 49 subsection 2 is the 49 subsection 3 is the utilization of amount in the electronic cash ledger. So 49 subsection 1 should be read with 49 subsection 3. Whereas 49 subsection 2 is talking about electronic credit ledger and 49 subsection 4 is talking about for what purpose it can be utilized. Fine, sir. Sir, I deposited 10 lakh, but my liability is only 8 lakh. So, from the electronic cash ledger, I would have utilized 8 lakh. Still, how much balance in my pocket? 2 lakh. That can be get it as a refund. That's what refund of balance in the electronic cash ledger. Refund of balance in the electronic cash ledger. That's what 49 subsection 6. 49 subsection 6. So, we have talked about our asset. Both electronic cash ledger and electronic credit ledger are our asset. Because our money is with the department. If it is our asset, it's a liability for the department. Because for government, it's a liability. Because if I deposited 10 lakh rupees in the electronic cash ledger, my money is available with the government. That means government have to pay me how much lakh? 10 lakh. That means it is my asset. Whereas it is a liability for whom? For the government. The same with the electronic credit ledger also. When I am purchasing, if I pay tax, my dear lovable students, it is my asset. My asset is whose liability? Government's liability. Government's liability. So first they talked about our asset. That is what electronic cash ledger and electronic. Now they are going to talk about our liability. Our liability is government's asset. That's what electronic what ledger? Liability ledger. As per 49 subsection 7. As per 49 subsection, that is a third ledger. Electronic cash ledger, electronic credit ledger, and electronic liability ledger. Now, order of discharge of liability as per 49 subsection 8. In what order you have to discharge your liability? That order they are explaining in 49 subsection 8 and incidence of tax 49 subsection 9. transfer of CGST to IGST or SGST or UTGST in electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. And amount transferred in CGST will be treated as what deposit? Deemed deposit. This many subsections are there in section 49, my dear lovable students. With this backdrop, we are going to start our chapter. This chapter, you know how we are going to discuss? We are going to discuss in 5 parts. Part number 1, we are going to talk about electronic cash ledger. We are going to discuss in detail about the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. What is electronic cash ledger? How we have to pay the amount in the electronic cash ledger, for what and all we can utilize the balance available in the electronic cash ledger. The part 2 will be electronic credit ledger. Part number 3 will be electronic liability ledger. The part number 4 will be other discussions, and part number 5 will be relevant terms. Is there any relevant terms what we using this? So shall we start with the part number 1? What is electronic cash ledger? Yes, sir. There I am going to discuss, man, 49 subsection 1, amount deposited to be credited to the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. You tell me, sir, you will be having bank account. Generally, you will be having bank account. If you are having 10 lakh rupees in your bank account, is your asset or liability? Asset, because I am having 10 lakh rupees in my bank account is my asset. Right, sir? From that 10 lakh bank balance, you are paying 5 lakh rupees. You are paying 5 lakh rupees to the government for the purpose of payment of what? GST. So my money now is with whom? Government. So when you pay that how much lakh? 5 lakh. That 5 lakh will go and sit in the electronic cash ledger. Electronic cash ledger. Electronic. Sir, that 5 lakh is my money is with the government. It is my asset. Whereas it's a liability for the government. It's a liability for the government. Right, sir? Liability means always credit balance. Liability means always, and asset means always debit balance. Right, sir? So what government will do now, in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger, they will credit that amount. Why they are crediting? Because it's a liability to the government. It's a liability to the. So when we deposit the money into the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger, that amount will be credited in the electronic cash ledger. Every deposit made towards tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount, from here onwards, I will call this as tip 4. What for? Tip 4. Tip 4. Tip 4 means tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. Repeat once again. Tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. So I am paying to the government for the purpose of tip 4 by a person, either by way of internet banking. I can make that payment either through internet banking or by using debit or what card? Credit card or National Electronic Fund Transfer, that is NEFT, or RTGS, that is real-time what settlement, gross settlement, or such other mode, and subject to such condition and restriction as may be prescribed. By these modes, I can make the payment for the purpose of making tax, interest, penalty, fees, or any other payment shall be credited to the electronic what ledger of such ledger of such person to be maintained in such manner as may be prescribed. That means, sir, do you think that A&M classes have registered under GST? Yes, sir. So, sir, have we got GSTIN? Yes, sir. So, we will be having electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. So, once we deposit any amount, monthly we are paying GST. Once we deposit any amount, my dear lovable students, it will go and sit in the electronic cash ledger. For what purpose we will deposit the money? For the purpose of payment of tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other payment. That is tip 4. What are the modes in which we can make the payment? Internet banking, debit card or credit card, NEFT, RTGS or such other mode, and subject to such condition as may be prescribed. So once we deposit that money through these modes, it is A&M classes asset and it's a liability to the government, because our money is with the government. So government will credit in the electronic what ledger. So everyone will be having a doubt. What is electronic cash ledger? Government is saying that this is electronic cash ledger. It means electronic cash ledger referred to in 49 subsection 1. Electronic cash ledger means a ledger referred in 49 subsection 1. The electronic cash ledger contains a summary of all the deposit or payment made by what payer? Taxpayer. Electronic cash ledger is maintained on the what portal? It is not maintained on your books of accounts. It is maintained by government on the GST portal. So if you want to know what are the total deposit made by a taxpayer, what are the total payment made by a taxpayer, you have to go and see the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. So a taxpayer will be depositing money through RTGS, net banking, sir, IMPS, all those stuffs. So that amount will be go and credit in the electronic cash ledger. Against what you can utilize that money is the question. So now as a taxpayer you deposited 10 lakh rupees to the electronic what ledger? So if this is the electronic cash ledger, my dear lovable students, it would have been credited as by sir net banking or by debit card or by NSR credit card, whatever it may be. The balance would have been credited to the electronic what ledger? So the balance is available in the electronic cash ledger. Against for what purpose you can utilize that? That's what 49 subsection 3, utilization of amount in the electronic what ledger? The amount available in the electronic cash ledger may be used for making any payment towards tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount payable under the provisions of this act. That means if you are having balance available in the electronic what ledger, that can be used to make the payment of to tax. So by using that amount you can pay the tax, to interest, sir, to penalty, then to fees, then to other payments, Are you all really with me, man? That means if you are having balance available in electronic what ledger? Cash ledger, you can utilize that for tip for what for? Tip for tax, interest, penalty, fees for any other amount payable under the provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder in such manner and subject to such conditions and restriction within such time as may be prescribed. That means once a taxpayer deposit money, it will go and sit in the credit side of the electronic cash ledger, and that amount can be utilized for the purpose of payment of tip 4 as per section 49 subsection 3, utilization of amount in the electronic what ledger. We are having a specific rule number 87 to talk more about electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. So rule number 87, we are going to talk about electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. So rule number 87 sub rule 1, maintenance of electronic cash ledger. You tell me, sir, are you going to maintain the electronic cash ledger in your books of accounts or in the common portal? The electronic cash ledger shall be maintained in form GST PMT 05. So what is the form in which it will be maintained by government? GST PMT 05. Maybe a one mark MCQ, man. Sir, electronic cash ledger shall be maintained in GST PMT 05 for each person. For every person, government will maintain electronic cash ledger. In what form? GST PMT. If you are liable to pay tax, interest, penalty, late fee or any other amount on the what portal, for crediting the amount deposited and debiting the payment therefrom towards tip 4. What is tip 4? Tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. So who will maintain the electronic cash ledger? Government. Where? GST common portal. Sir, whenever you are depositing money, it will be credited in the electronic cash ledger, and whenever you are utilizing that money for the purpose of payment of tip 4, that will be debited in the electronic cash ledger. Comfortable? Come on, man. Sir, 87, rule number 87 sub rule 2 is saying that generation of Challan. Generation of what? So Challan will be generated. receipt. It's like a receipt. Once I deposit an amount, sir, automatically the portal will generate a challan. Any person, sir, or a person on his behalf shall generate a challan in form GST PMT 06. Form GST PMT. Sir, what is the form in which maintenance of electronic cash ledger? That is form GST PMT 05. Whereas challan will be generated in form GST PMT 06 on the what portal. And enter the details of the amount to be deposited by him towards tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. That means, sir, are you interested to deposit any amount in the electronic cash ledger? Then before that, you have to fill a challan. You have to fill a challan. How much rupees you are going to be deposited, towards what you are going to be deposited, whether it is for tax, interest or penalty or fees or any other amount. Once you deposit the challan, once you create the challan, then only you can deposit that much money in your ledger. That is what? Generation of challan. So that challan will be generated in form number GST PMT 06. Sir, once you generate the challan in form GST PMT 06 generated at the common portal shall be valid for a period of how many days? That means once you have created the challan, that challan will be valid for 15 days. So within 15 days, you have to make the payment. You have to make then only the payment will go and sit in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. So this is the form or format in which you are supposed to pay the amount, my dear lovable students. First, a taxpayer has to generate a challan in GST PMT 06 and the validity of that challan will be for within 15 days. Generally, practically, immediately we will pay. Practically, I am saying, for example, if I wish to pay any amount in the electronic what ledger, cash ledger, I will generate a challan now itself and I will make the payment itself. But if I am intending to, sir, make the payment tomorrow, today itself I can generate the challan. And that challan will be valid for how many days? Within 15 days, you can use the challan and you can make the payment. How I have to make the payment? Through the electronic, sir, through these things like what? Internet banking, debit card or credit card, NEFT, RTGS or such other mode and subject to such condition restriction as may be prescribed. So by using these modes, that challan can be paid. That challan will be active in the website for how many days? 15 days. Rule 87 sub rule 3. Mode of deposit of amount in electronic cash ledger. Already we discussed. Sir, the deposit under rule 87 sub rule 2 shall be made through of any of the following mode, namely internet banking through authorized bank, through internet banking. For example, by using HDFC account, SBI account, you can make the payment. For example, A&M classes is having, sir, multiple bank accounts. By using the bank account itself, we can make the payment to the electronic what ledger, cash ledger, or UPI from any bank, unified payment interface from any bank, or IMPS, immediate payment service from any bank, credit card or debit card through the authorized bank, NEFT, that is National Electronic Fund Transfer, or RTGS, real-time gross settlement from any bank, or dash the counter payment. You can go and make cash payment over the counter payment through what bank? Authorized bank. For deposit up to how much rupees, man? 10,000 per challan per tax period. This may be an MCQ for examination. 10,000 per challan per tax period. Either by way of cash or by way of check or by way of demand draft. You can go to one particular bank and you can give cash up to how much rupees, man? 10,000 rupees. What they are saying, per tax period means per either your tax period may be monthly or your tax period may be quarterly. Right, sir? So in a month, 10,000 rupees cash payment is allowed. So these are the ways in which you can make the payment. This is called as mode of deposit of the amount in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. You tell me what are the mode? Number one, internet banking through authorized bank, UPI, IMPS, credit card or debit card, NEFT, RTGS, and over the counter payment. This is what here they have said that. You look at here. Every deposit made towards tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount by a person, by what banking? Internet banking, by using debit card or credit card, by NEFT or RTGS or such other mode and subject to such conditions and restriction as may be prescribed. Yes, they have prescribed. That prescribed thing only in rule number 87 sub rule 3. They have prescribed that you can make payment through internet banking, UPI, IMPS, credit card, debit card, NEFT or RTGS, and over the counter payment through the authorized bank for deposit up to how much rupees? 10,000 per challan per tax period. 10,000 per challan per tax period. Are you really with me? So maximum in a particular tax period, how much rupees cash payment are only allowed? 10,000. But practically it will not be applicable in every case. That's why OTC payment, what is OTC payment? Over the counter payment restricted up to 10,000, not applicable in the following cases. That means these are exception 1, exception 2 and exception 3. In these 3 cases, my dear lovable student, even you can pay 10,000 crore in cash, government will not ask. The restriction for deposit up to 10,000 per challan in case of an over-the-counter payment shall not apply to deposit to be made by number 1, government department, or any other deposit to be made by person as may be notified by commissioner in this behalf. The person who are making the deposit in the electronic cash ledger is what department? Government department. For them, this 10,000 limit will not be. This is for other people other than government. If the person who are depositing the money with the electronic cash ledger is what person? Government department, then my dear lovable students, this restriction of 10,000 will not be. Fantastic. Next one. Proper officer or any other officer authorized to recover what due from any person, whether registered or not, including recovery made through attachment or sale of movable or what property? Immovable property. That means, sir, on your name, demand came, some notices came, you have not paid GST of 1 crore. They have recovered that 1 crore by sale of some property, or they have recovered that 1 crore through recovery proceedings. What proceeding? There are so many modes of recovery are there. If you are liable to pay any amount to the department, and if that amount has not been paid, they will come and, sir, seize your car. They will come and seize your home. Or your bank account will be seized. Like that, so many recoveries are there. So, if any proper officer have recovered that, through the recovery modes, then that proper officer can deposit the tax in the name of the taxpayer even more than how much rupees? 10,000. Sometimes he would have recovered 1 lakh rupees. How much time he will deposit that 10,000? Sometimes the recover amount may be 1 crore. How much time he will recover that? That's what they are saying. Proper officer or any other officer authorized to recover what due, outstanding due from any person, whether that guy may be registered or unregistered, including recovery made through attachment or sale of movable or, so by way of attachment of the property, sale of movable property, sale of immovable property, proper officer have recovered what the amount he is supposed to be recovered, then PO can deposit that amount in the electronic cash ledger of that particular person, whether registered or not, without seeing the limit of 10,000. PO, the third one, or any other officer authorized for the amount collected by way of cash, check or demand draft during any investigation or enforcement activity or any ad hoc deposit. That means during the investigation, during the enforcement activity, the proper officer have collected any amount. So again the PO can deposit that amount without seeing the, sir, limit of how much? 10,000. So in these 3 circumstances, my dear lovable students, OTC up to 10,000 limit will not be applicable. Number 1, sir, exception number 1 is for government department. Exception number 2 is for PO who have recovered the dues. Number 3, PO who have collected the tax during investigation or enforcement activity. This may be a 4-mark question for examination. In the sense means, sir, what are the exception to over the counter payment up to 10,000? There are 3 exceptions are there. Number 1, sir, up to 10,000 rupees payment not applicable to government department. Number 2, PO who have recovered the amount. Number 3, PO, who have recovered the amount during investigation or enforcement activity. Sir, additional provision they have added. Supply of OIDAR services. Have you heard about OIDAR? Online information, data, access and retrieval services. Or, oh my God, online money gaming from outside India. That means these people are situated outside India. Sir, even though these people are situated outside India, they are liable to pay GST in India. Am I right, sir? What these guys are supposed to do? A person supplying online information, sir, and data access or retrieval services from a place to a non-taxable online recipient referred to in section 14. That is, there is OIDAR supplier. He is situated outside India and he is supplying to a non-taxable online recipient. He is supplying to a non-taxable or person supplying what gaming? Online money gaming from a place where? Outside India to a person in India as referred to in section what A? 14A of the what Act? IGST Act. So these people are situated where? Outside India. Both the OIDAR supplier and the oh my God person may also make the deposit through international money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network. Very good. Fantastic to the core. That means, my dear lovable students, generally if you are a registered person who are situated in India, you can make the payment through the debit card, internet banking, UPI, IMPS, debit card, credit card, or NEFT, or what? RTGS, or over the tax payment up to how much? 10,000. Right, sir? Yes, sir? Yes, sir? But if the service provider is OIDAR person, that is online information, data, access or retrieval services, or online money gaming, who are situated, who are covered under section 14 of the IGST Act or section 14A of the IGST Act, they can deposit their money in the electronic cash ledger through the medium of international money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network. So in addition to the debit card or credit card or UPI or RTGS or IMPS etc., these guys can make the payment, my dear lovable students, through, tell me one time you read, international money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network from the date to be notified by the board. The board will put a date that from this date onwards you can use this facility to make the payment. Comfortable? So this may be a 1 mark MCQ for you. Through what they can make the payment? International money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network. Repeat 3 times. International money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network. Second time. International money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network. Third time. International money transfer through Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Payment Network. Alright, sir? Sir, the explanation they are having. Commission to be, sir, borne by the payer. When you are making payment through, sir, all this electronic mode, sometimes bank will charge 5 rupees commission. Right, sir? That government will not bear. That you have to bear. Nyayam. For making payment of any amount indicated in the Challan, that Challan, we will be creating Challan in form number GST PMT 06. That will be valid for the commission, if any, payable in respect of such payment shall be borne by the person making such payment. For example, if 1 lakh rupees, if you are making payment, if bank is charging commission of 10 rupees, that 10 rupees also you itself have to bear. Don't think that, sir, after reducing 10 rupees only government will receive. Government need 1 lakh, not 1 lakh rupees minus commission. Commission has to be bear by the payer, the person who are making the payment. Nyayam. Rule number 87, sub rule 4. Payment by unregistered supplier using TIN number. Sir, I am not a registered person. I am a what person? Unregistered person. Then TIN, temporary identification number. What number, man? temporary identification number. This may be a 1 mark MCQ for you. TIN stands for temporary identification number. Temporary identification number. So any payment required to be made by a person who is not registered under the act. Sir, I am not a registered person. I am a what person? Unregistered person. Shall be made on the basis of the TIN, that is temporary identification number, generated through the what portal? Common portal. So my dear lovable students, sir, you may be a registered person or you may be an unregistered person. If you are a registered person, you are having GSTIN, right man? That is GST identification number. If you are an unregistered person, you won't have a GSTIN. You will be having a TIN. What is TIN? Temporary identification. So the person can be classified into two categories. What person? Registered person. And if the person is a registered person, they can make the payment through GSTIN. Whereas if you are an unregistered person, you can make the payment through TIN. What is TIN? Temporary identification number. Right, sir? Rule number 87, sub-rule 5, mandate form for NEFT and what payment? RTGS payment. If you are making payment through, sir, RTGS or NEFT, where the payment is made by way of national electronic what transfer or real-time what settlement or immediate payment service mode from any bank, the mandate form shall be generated along with the what? Challan. For example, if you are making payment through debit card, credit card, only Challan is only required. But if you are making the payment through, sir, NEFT, that is what man? National Electronic What Transfer, Fund Transfer, or RTGS. What is RTGS? Real-time gross settlement. Or IMPS. What is IMPS? Immediate payment service mode. So if you are depositing the money to the electronic cash ledger through these modes, then in addition to the Challan, you should create what form? Mandate form. So mandate form shall be generated along with the what? Challan on the what portal? Common portal. And the same shall be submitted to the bank where the payment is to be made. So if you are making payment through NEFT, RTGS, IMPS, you have to create what form? Mandate form plus Challan. If possible, I will show you how to make the payment in the GST portal. Okay. After the discussion, first we are discussing, sir, the theory part. Validity of the mandate form is also how many days? 15 days. Even Challan also 15 days. Mandate form also 15 days. Mandate form shall be valid for a period of 15 days from the date of generation of the what? Challan. Comfortable, sir? Sir, once you generate the Challan, SIN will be generated. Challan identification number. What number, man? Challan. Sir, this is another 1 mark MCQ for you. Sir, on successful credit of amount to the concerned government account maintained in the authorized bank, a Challan identification number shall be generated by the collecting bank and same shall be indicated in the Challan. For example, if you want to make any payment to the electronic cash ledger, you have to create the Challan. Correct, sir? Once you create the Challan, that Challan will be maximum valid for 15 days. But immediately, practically I am saying immediately we will make the payment. Okay. We will create the Challan, generate the Challan and we will make the payment immediately. So what will happen now? From our bank account, money will reduce. And that amount will be credited to the electronic cash ledger of the government account. That is our account in the government books. Right, sir? Yes, sir. So once that process is, sir, correctly done, that means the work is over. So the system will create a number called as Challan identification number. For what purpose they are creating Challan identification number? No, by using this number only, this much amount has been credited in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. So this 5 lakh rupees has been credited to electronic cash ledger by using this Challan. So once the amount has been successfully credited to the electronic cash ledger, my dear lovable students, sir, successful credit of amount to the concerned whose account? Government account maintained in the what bank? Authorized bank. Challan shall be generated by the what bank? Collecting bank. And same shall be indicated in the Challan. Rule number 87, sub rule 7. With regard to this sub rules and all, Please don't remember sub rule 6, sub rule 7 and all. If you are able to remember that rule number 87 for electronic what? Cash ledger, that itself is more than enough. Right, sir? Credit in the electronic cash ledger on receipt of what? Sin. What is sin? Challan. On receipt of the sin from the what bank? Collecting bank. The said amount shall be credited to the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger of the person on whose behalf deposit has been made, and common portal shall make available a receipt to this effect. So first you have to create a challan. Once challan has been created, that challan will be valid for how many days? 15 days. Then you can make the payment. Once you make the payment, sir, once that payment is successful, bank will create a sin. What is sin? Challan identification number. That means our payment is successful. Then that amount will go and sit in the electronic what ledger? Once that amount has been credited in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger, the common portal will generate a receipt. Will generate a receipt. Receipt saying that, sir, we have received this much amount from your account. Like that, you will get SMS. You will get message from the electronic what common portal saying that this much amount has been deposited to electronic cash ledger of your account. This is the process they are following. Are you all really with me? Now 87 sub rule 8. Representation to bank on non-generation of sin despite payment. This is a banking error. Sir, from my account balance has been reduced, but sin has not been generated. Where the bank account of the person concerned or the person making the deposit on his behalf is debited. Sir, from my bank the amount has been reduced. From my bank the amount has been debited, but no dash is generated. Sin is generated, because if sin generated, then only the amount will go and credit in the electronic, or generated but not communicated to the what portal? Common portal. Or bank has generated the sin, but it has not communicated to the said person may represent electronically in form GST PMT07. The another form you are getting now. GST PMT07 through the what portal? To the bank or the electronic gateway through which the deposit was initiated. For example, if balance has reduced from your account and if that amount has not been, sir, credited to the electronic credit ledger, cash ledger, because of the reason that sin has not been generated or generated sin has not been communicated to the, you can make representation to the bank. You can say to the bank that, sir, from my account, amount has been reduced, but sin has not been. SBI, HDFC, please take care of this, because this corresponding credit has not been made in the electronic what ledger. However, where the bank fails to communicate details of sin to the what portal, the electronic cash ledger may be updated based on the e-scroll of the what? RBI. In cases where details of the said e-scroll are in conformity with the details in the challan generated in form GST PMT06 on the what portal. So what government is saying that even though the bank has not communicated the sin to the GST common portal, if it is confirmed that the payment has gone from the taxpayer's account, sir, the common portal will credit that amount in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger, by using the e-scroll, by using the what? E-scroll, which is the RBI's ledger, payment ledger. Sir, there our transaction would have been reflected. Based on that, our money will be credited in the electronic cash ledger. Are you all really with me? Coming to rule number 87, sub rule 9, credit of what or what? Sir, we know that section 51 is talking about TDS and section 52 is talking about what? TCS. Some people may deduct TDS and TCS on behalf of ourselves. Right, sir? Any amount deducted under section what? 51. Or collected under section what? 52. And claimed by the what person? Registered taxable person from whom the said amount was deducted or as the case may be collected shall be credited to the electronic what ledger. This is a good information saying that. not only the money deposited in the electronic cash ledger, but also the TDS and TCS deducted will also come and sit in the credit side of the electronic what ledger. Upon the credit side of the electronic cash ledger, what and all amount will come? Number one, the amount deposited by the taxpayer will come and sit in the electronic cash ledger. Plus TDS deducted under section 51 and TCS collected under section 52. Sir, these three things will come and sit in the credit side of the electronic. And by utilizing these three things, you can make the payment of tip 4. What is tip 4? Tax, interest, penalty, fees. So, this is how the electronic cash ledger look like. Look at here. This is the ledger. This is the debit side of the ledger. And this is the credit side of the ledger. This is the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. All the deposit by deposit will come and sit in the electronic cash ledger. This deposit you can make by way of UPI, online banking, RTGS, NEFT, etc., etc. So, various modes in which you can deposit the money. By way of creation of Challan, that Challan will be valid for 15 days. And by TDS under section 51. So, sir, for us, any person deducting TDS, that will also come and sit in the credit side of the electronic. By TCS under section 52. Comfortable, sir? Sir, for what purpose these three things can be utilized? To payment of tip 4. What for? Tip 4. Tip 4 in the sense means tax, interest, penalty, fees and any other sum. Sometimes, my dear lovable students, here you will be having 1 lakh. But the liability will only be 60,000. But still, you are having balance of how much? 40,000. What you can do with that 40,000? You can get it as refund. You can get it as? That's what the next section, man. 87 sub rule 10, refund amount to be debited. Because if the government is giving you refund, it's like a utilization of the electronic cash ledger, right, sir? So, where a person has claimed refund of any amount from the electronic what ledger, cash ledger, said amount shall be debited to the electronic what ledger, cash ledger. There you can make it as to refund. So, if any balance available in the electronic cash ledger, you got it as refund, that should be debited in the electronic what ledger. So, picturize the electronic cash ledger. This will be maintained in common portal in GST PMT 05. GST PMT, this is the format in which they will be maintaining. All the deposit will go and sit in the credit side of the cash ledger, and TDS deducted and TCS collected for a taxpayer will go and sit in the credit side of the taxpayer, right, sir? So that is a money available. This is your money available. This available money can be utilized to make the payment of tip 4. That is tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other similar sum. And if there is any balance, you can get it as refund. If you got any balance as refund, that will be dashed in the electronic cash ledger. Debited in the electronic cash ledger. Comfortable? Rule number 87 sub rule 11. Credit on account of what of refund? Rejection of refund. Sir, first, since you are going to get the refund, that amount has been what? Debited. But, sir, refund has been rejected. Refund has not been processed. So, that has to be reversed. In order to reverse this debit, what you have to do? Credit it by rejection of refund. By rejection of what? Refund. If the refund so claimed is rejected, either fully or partly, the amount debited under Rule 87 sub Rule 10 to the extent of rejection shall be credited to the electronic what ledger, cash ledger, by the PO by an order made in form GST PMT 03, my dear lovable students. So once the refund is confirmed, that will be debited in the electronic what ledger. But if it has not been processed because of any technical error or because of ineligibility or because it has been restricted by the proper officer or because of any reason, that will be recredited to the electronic cash ledger. Comfortable, sir? Rule number 87 sub rule 12. Communication of discrepancy to jurisdictional officer. A registered person shall, upon noticing any discrepancy in his electronic what ledger, communicate to the same to the officer exercising jurisdiction in the matter through the common portal in form GST PMT 04. For example, sir, A&M classes will be having electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. We deposited the money, but it has not been credited to the electronic cash ledger, or we have not utilized, some other person has utilized our cash ledger. That means for us it will be swaha. I will be getting tensed because it's my money, right sir? So I can communicate the discrepancy to the jurisdictional officer. To the GST officer, I can go and beg before him saying that, sir, please look at my electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. This amount I have not utilized. This amount I have not credited. Unnecessary debit have came. Unnecessary credit have came. Or 10 lakh rupees is there. I utilized only 5 lakh rupees. So balance 5 lakh rupees should be there. But it is showing only 3 lakh rupees. Some unnecessary penalty has been debited. Or any discrepancy. I am giving only just examples. Any discrepancy, you can go and ask with the jurisdictional officer. Inform GST PMT 04. Inform GST PMT. Transfer of amount from one account head to the another. Sometimes in electronic cash ledger will be having various accounts will be there. CGST account will be there, SGST account will be there, UTGST account will be there, IGST account will be there, penalty head will be there, interest head will be there, right sir? Sometimes when you are depositing the money into the electronic what ledger, cash ledger, you would have deposited under the IGST head. But actually you need the cash balance under the CGST head. So from one head to another head, you can change. That's what they are saying. A registered person may on the what portal transfer any amount of tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount available in the electronic what ledger, cash ledger under the act to electronic cash ledger for what tax? Integrated tax, central tax, state tax or union territory tax in form GST PMT 09. For transferring from one head to another head, we will be using a form called as form GST PMT 09. That means transfer from one head to another head is permissible, possible. You can do that. Rule 87 sub rule 14. Transfer of cash balance to what person? Distinct person. Very important, sir, because this may be tested in examination. For example, I am a head office. I may have a branch under the same GST registration or same PAN. I may have same PAN. What government said that? Two separate registration make distinct person. 25 subsection 4, 25 subsection 5. Are you remembering? Yes, sir. Sometimes, sir, under the same PAN, two registration I would have taken. Under registration number 1, I may have cash balance. Balance available in the electronic cash ledger. But that liability is for the second registration. So I can transfer the balance from electronic cash ledger of the registered person 1 to the electronic cash ledger of the, because both are myself only, no. A registered person may on the common portal transfer any amount of tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount available in the electronic cash ledger under the act to the electronic cash ledger for central tax or integrated tax of a dash person, as specified in section 25 subsection 4 or 25 subsection 5 in form GST PMT. PMT means payment. So my dear lovable students, so if I am having a distinct person, if I am having sir balance available in the electronic what ledger, cash ledger of one registered person, and I myself if having multiple registration, if I am having 10 lakh balance available in the electronic cash ledger of one person, that can be shifted to the another distinct person which are covered under 25 subsection 4 or 25 subsection. However, no such transfer shall be allowed. This they are talking about exception. Alright, sir. If said registered person has any unpaid liability in his electronic what ledger? For example, if I myself are having liability under the electronic liability ledger, what government is saying that first you pay your liability man. Then any balance available that can be transferred to the distinct person for the payment of that. Right, sir? Explanation number 1. Rejection of refund on rejection of what? Appeal. The refund shall be deemed to be rejected. Refund shall be deemed to be if the appeal is finally what? Rejected. Sir, appeals and revision will be discussing only in the final topic. So sometimes when you go for an appeal, that appeal will be rejected. For example, sir, you got a refund order. Okay. You are entitled to get refund. Government, the department said that you are not entitled to get the refund. That order has been passed, but you don't like the order. You have taken to appeal. Appeal, the appellate authority have rejected the order, saying that, my dear lovable students, this appeal is not acceptable. So it will be equal to refund shall be deemed to be rejected. Explanation number 2. Deemed rejection of refund. Again, the refund shall be deemed to be rejected if the appeal is finally rejected, or if the claimant gives an undertaking to the PO that he shall not file an appeal. Hello, sir. So these are appeal related things. With regard to inter, nothing to do. With regard to final, we will do in the appellate proceedings already. So that explanation, let it be there. This many things we have to talk about. Electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. Basically, one rule we are doing in detail, rule number 87. That sub rules and all, don't worry at all. This chapter, how we are going to study, you know, we are going to study as 5 parts. Part number 1 is electronic cash ledger. Part number 2 is electronic credit ledger. Part number 3 is electronic liability ledger. Part number 4 is others. And part number 5 is relevant terms. Comfortable, sir? So when you see, by discussing that 5 parts, automatically all the subsection we will be completing, my dear lovable students. In that 49 subsection 1 is electronic what ledger. It shows the summary. It will be first of all maintained in the GST common portal in form GST PMT 05. It shows a summary of all the deposit made by a taxable person and the utilization towards the tip 4. That is tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other sum. Sir, the mode of making payment, you can make the payment through internet banking, NEFT, online banking, RTGS, IMPS or over the counter up to 10,000. But that over the counter up to 10,000, there are 3 exceptions are there. Sir, in those 3 exceptions, you can make the payment even more than 10,000. That's what, sir, when we discuss 49 subsection 1, we have talked even about 49 subsection what also. Because utilization of amount in the electronic what ledger, that can be utilized for tip 4. That is tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. Right, sir? So by that way, my dear lovable students, will be completing, if we do the 5 parts, automatically it will be completing all the subsections of section 49. In that the biggest slot is electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. In the coming class, we will be discussing about the electronic what ledger. In that 49 subsection 2, ITC to be credited to the electronic what ledger? Credit ledger. So we are talking about 49 subsection 2. And we are going to talk about 49 subsection 4, utilization of amount in the electronic what ledger? Credit ledger. Because we know that as per 49 subsection 3, for 5 things we can utilize the balance available in the electronic what ledger? Cash ledger. That is tax, interest, penalty, fees or any other amount. That is for what 4? Tip 4. Right, sir? Then 49 subsection 5, manner of utilization of amount in the electronic what ledger? This we have already done, man. Immediately after the chapter ITC, this chapter only, manner of utilization only we have done. Sir, if you are having credit of IGST against what and all what, we have studied, right, sir? Then credit of what? CGST, then credit of what? SGST, then credit of what? UTGST, credit of what? Again CGST and credit of SGST, cross utilization is not possible. Right, sir? Then they are talking about the 49 subsection 12, maximum proportion of output tax liability be discharged through electronic credit ledger, which is 99%. Are you remembering? If the value of supply, taxable supply exceeds how much lakh? 50 lakhs. The maximum you can utilize through electronic what ledger? Credit ledger is how much percent? 99%. This we have talked. 2 restrictions we have talked. Yes, sir. Then, sir, 49 is overridden by section 49A and section 49B, read with rule number 88A. Comfortable, sir? Actually, that part we have already done in our previous class. Still, I will be recalling in the coming session. Don't worry at all. Once again. Hello, sir. At that time, you will be feeling so much comfortable. That's why I'm doing 2 times for you. After that, we'll be talking about, sir, electronic credit ledger. We are having a specific rule, rule number 86. How we are having rule number 87 for electronic cash ledger. We are having rule number 86 for in what form you have to make. Sir, rule number 86, and debit in ledger, for what and all amount will be debited, a refund of ITC to be debited, rejection of refund, recredit in the ledger, recredit in the ledger. Rule number 86, sub rule 4A, repayment of erroneous refund to be credited to the ledger, no direct entry in the ledger, communication of discrepancy to what officer? Jurisdictional officer. And explanation number 1. That means whatever we have discussed for electronic cash ledger will be mutatis mutandis discussed for electronic what ledger also. Credit ledger also. Comfortable? So what I am requesting to you is, before you listen to the next class, revise electronic cash ledger fully, plus go back to the ITC chapter. In that manner of utilization of ITC, one slot is there, that you revise. If that is the case, you will be getting a brilliant, super, fantastic control over the payment of tax chapter. Are you comfortable up to this? Revision is the key to success. Take at least 30 minutes of time. Pause your video, those who are in virtuals, my dear lovable students, and revise these two-part electronic cash ledger properly, and also the manner of utilization of ITC. Then start seeing this part. You will be feeling so much comfortable.